is an intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. Um, now, Bret Stephens argues that if we were seeing a genocide, we'd see far more people killed, not just the 50 or 60,000 that the people in Gaza say. Um, he said also that the Israelis have offered warnings to Palestinians to move out of this area because we're going into that area. And Trump has suggested that just everybody who lives in Gaza just leave, go somewhere else, go to another Arab country and live long and prosper. Um, Now, Bartov goes completely the opposite direction. And I want to read what his definition of genocide is and why he believes this is what we're seeing. He said, to make the Gaza Strip into a completely uninhabitable territory to the extent that not only people would not be able to live there, not even in the ruins of their own homes, but also that they would never be able to reconstitute their identity as a group, even if the fighting were to stop. Now, I offer one more thought, my thought on this, and I think language evolves, and in as much as 85% of Gaza is now rubble, Palestinians have been ordered to move to one place, then another, then back, and all over the place to accommodate Israeli military actions. I wonder if there's kind of a middle ground for a new definition of psychological genocide, because I don't know, I'm not taking sides one way or another, but in a practical, pragmatic way, I look at what's going on there, and even to some degree, what's begun to happen in the West Bank. You can draw your own conclusions. And I'm very curious to know how each of you thinks about this. Not that we're going to resolve this today or any other day, but I wonder what you think of this. Are we watching some sort of a genocide? Steve, you start. You're our resident
All right.
legal scholar.
The first thing I want to say is to even discuss this and act as if a genocide in Gaza merits discussion gives it much more credence than it deserves. Period. Um, Even that last definition you gave, it's to clear an area. It has nothing to do with ethnic identity, anything else, as if there even were such a thing as a Palestinian, which there wasn't until the mid 1970s. They're not going after people of this racial composition within their country. They're not bombing the West Bank indiscriminately. There is nothing they are doing that is aimed at getting rid of a group of people. It is aimed at maintaining a safe country and getting rid of Hamas attacks. And I'm sorry, but the only way this would be a genocide is if Hamas terrorists constituted some kind of race all by themselves. And I think to discuss this and even listen to this garbage gives it way too much credence. And just look at the whole map of the region. You have a dot of Israel and 8 trillion Arabs around them trying to destroy Israel. And it's clearly we want to destroy Jews around the world. That's a genocide. At no time in the history of the universe has Israel said, we want to destroy Arabs, we want to destroy Muslims, we want to destroy Druze, we want to destroy nomads, none of that. And this is just plays into the hands of those who are trying to kill us.
Okay. Rebecca, welcome to the group. I haven't seen you here before, but welcome.
Yeah, I used to be in this class, and then it conflicted with one of my emeritus classes, and then I realized it doesn't conflict with my emeritus class anymore, except for that semester's almost over, and it may conflict again. Anyhow, I'm in the same boat as Steve. what is the identity? I think we need to discuss what is the identity of the people who are in Gaza. Are they Gazans? Are they Palestinians? Are they Arabs? Is Israel trying to destroy all of the Arabs? No, it's not genocide. And then to add to that, what I heard some months ago, and it may have changed, that the population in Gaza is actually increasing. So if the population of Gaza is increasing, how can that possibly be a genocide?
Oh,
Okay.
and by the way, 60,000 people is multiples of the number of people killed, and probably 70 to 80% have been militants or leaders.
Okay. Other thoughts? Go ahead, Sylvia.
I read the Bartok piece on Sunday in the Times. I actually read all of it, which astonished me. He persuaded me. I have been saying, nah, it can't be genocide. The Israelis wouldn't do that. They're not like that. And then you read about some minister saying we have to get rid of all the Arabs or Palestinians or whatever they call them at that particular moment. I don't know if it's technically genocide. I do think that the Israelis are trying to get rid of every last Palestinian they can get rid of. I think what they've done in Gaza, and I've been yelled at for saying things like this before, are acts of terrorism. And I really think that we have to stop assuming that Israel's motives are good, pure, honest, and delightful, because they're not. They're absolutely not. They want the entire territory, and they're going to do whatever they think they can get away with to take over the entire territory. I think Netanyahu needs to stay in power, so he's going to let his right-wing lunatics do what they want to do, which is basically getting rid of every last Palestinian they can get rid of. I don't know if that's genocide. Comes awful close if it's not.
Maybe.
I think that they are, the Israeli government, as run by the right-wingers, really want to get the Palestinians and everybody out of their territory. And their territory goes from Jordan all the way to the Mediterranean. I don't know about the Gaza, but anyway. And so their goal is to get rid of those people. And the government is helping them do it.
Then why haven't they rounded up all the Palestinians in the state of Israel who continue to have equal rights if that's their goal?
They don't have
equal rights.
Never had
Well,
why are they protecting the Druze then?
Because the Jews fight with them in the idea.
And they even soldiers in their group.
Yeah, the Israelis and the Druze have always been kind of allied to some degree. And I think the protection of the Druze is what has set off this latest round of fighting in Syria.
Right.
Who else has an opinion on this? All opinions welcome. Joanne, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So I vote with it is not genocide.
Okay.
I think way too many people have died in Gaza, but if it were a true genocide, they'd be gone by now. I agree that it's not. If it were a genocide, they would all be gone by now. It's almost 2 years into this, and I think if Hamas laid down their arms and released the hostages, it would stop. The fighting would stop.
You think that? Yeah, that's
I think if Hamas laid down their arms and returned the hostages, that the fighting would stop.
What would happen next, do you think?
Same thing in a different location.
What do you mean?
It will never stop because it started all the way back, even when the British were there. They were attacking the
I'm looking
settlements. I don't know. Well, can I speak, please?
Of course you can speak, but I'm curious to know if the hostages were released, if Hamas surrendered and laid down their arms.
They're not going to surrender.
Okay.
This is their livelihood. They get paid to kill and to maim and to destroy and to make trouble. So the rest of the world is not going to see and look of what's going on in the governments of the other Arab countries. To throw the attention only there so they can do whatever they want anywhere in the world. And they are doing it. Okay? Iran is getting richer and richer, getting money from people that are buying oil from them, and they know it, and they depend on it, and they know that those countries that buy the oil from them are not going to let the world execute Iran and their beneficiaries, whoever they support, because they depend on their oil. You're always looking at the reason why. Why is it that Britain are going to support them at the time that they were sitting in Israel? Why do you think the British stayed there and occupied the land? When they left all their ammunition to the Arabs because they want their oil. It's all there. The world needs their oil, and they are going to wipe their, excuse my language, their asses in order to keep in touch with them and buy the oil from them. And the world have to identify it and say it the way it is. Otherwise, they would not support them. They depend on their oil. They want to depend on their oil. They can buy it from other countries, but it may be cheaper, maybe easier, maybe it's good because they also occupy. I know that England still has 36 commonwealths. Why are they keeping commonwealth? Those countries are countries by themselves, and they paid homage to Britain, and one of them has slavery in it. Did anybody look into this? No. Okay, well, take a look before you start jumping on the Israelis all the time, because it's easy. It's easy. We are 0.2% in the world. Did you know that? 0.2. Okay.
I think the U.S. government is in conversations now with trying to cut off buyers of Iranian oil. So that's not
Well,
going
good luck. Okay.
Okay, good luck. I'm just saying facts. I'm not
Okay.
opining.
All righty.
So we'll see what happens there. But I'm very
Okay.
curious. I mean, Joanne, you brought up an interesting point, which I think has uh, kind of overlaid this whole situation is what happens if the hostages are released?
Nothing. They're not gonna be released because they're bodies
You've
now.
made your point. You've made your point.
You can't answer a hypothetical if you just say the hypothetical won't happen. The question
Okay.
is, if it happens, what will happen? And Israel will not attack anybody until they're attacked again by someone, and they need to.
Exactly. That's it.
Trump, I think Trump is not entirely wrong, and I've said this for a long time. Gaza sits there in the Mediterranean. It could be a gorgeous resort. And look at Eilat, it's beautiful, right?
It
No,
belongs to Egypt.
Somebody will come in and rebuild it. It's not gonna be us, I'm sure.
Egypt have to
There's
agree
all
with
those-
it.
there's
The
other-
land belongs to Egypt.
one at a time, please. Go ahead, Joanne.
No, I was
No,
just gonna say,
actually, it
it's
does not.
beautiful.
It belongs to Gaza as disputed territory. Egypt does not control Gaza.
Oh,
And
whoever it belongs to, it's still a gorgeous piece of, I mean, it could be a
Not
gorgeous
anymore.
piece of land.
Well, no, they need
Somebody will come in and rebuild it.
somebody with a big bulldozer has to get in there first.
Well, right. I mean, there's all those Arab countries out there with tons of money,
Yeah, but and no inclination to get involved, I don't think. I mean, it's really hard. I mean,
Yeah, well,
there've been
right.
stories that the Saudis would go in there and start to help in reconstruction if there was some kind of a peace deal. But I think that's way down the line, and I
Well,
don't.
yeah, of course, it'll take years to
Yeah.
rebuild that. But the question is, are they going to rebuild it, or are they going to rebuild their tunnels and arms?
Well, that's a big question, and that goes to the issue of who who's the new government of Gaza. I mean, there has to be some kind of working, uh, functioning in group
Entity.
That's the word I was looking. I'm older and I can't think of all these words. To bring some stability. And these are all open-ended questions for now. I mean, the dispute continues, and it's hard to see what happens, assuming at some point we get a ceasefire deal and the hostages get to come back, and then we see what happens. Okay. Who had Benjamin? What say you?
Well, thank you. I don't think it's this by the definition of genocide. I don't think it's a genocide, but on the same, well, different hand, nobody likes seeing babies getting killed. And we do know that using the innocent civilians as shield for the army or the terrorists is part of the modus operandi, so that puts them in harm's way. I think what Panina said, how do you stop it the next time? How do you stop the cycle? And if anything, the the um, the press war, the war of a public opinion has been lost by Israel. It's just awful what's happened. Anti-Semitism to me has always been there. Maybe it's been kind of held down, but with the approval of hate, which is a different discussion, but hate is now okay. And certainly anti-Semitism worldwide has just come back roaring. So it's a bad situation. I don't really have a quick solution or a quick answer.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, whichever side you're on here, that the ongoing hostilities have really inflamed anti-Semitism, and we see it here, on college campuses and elsewhere. Now, how our government responds to that is a different question, but it seems certain that incidents of anti-Semitism have increased. I think I saw something somewhere today that Mamdani, the Democratic candidate for mayor in New York, is dealing with that now. I saw a poster of his campaign posters on a wall, and I think there was some anti-Semitic graffiti scribbled on it.
You think?
Yeah,
Oh, it is.
I think because I saw it. Okay.
Michael, if I could just add, if I may, there has been, my understanding is there's been a multi-year, billions and billions of dollars investment by the Arab countries to gain a foothold in the universities and other institutions. And this rise of anti-Semitism or anti-Jew or anti-Israel isn't necessarily new and just isn't a flashpoint from October the 7th, but that it's been a concerted effort that's been underway for many years, and that, whether it's Hillel or the other college entities for the Jewish side have really lost that battle. So we're in a bad place right now, us Jews.
I think what I really object to is using campus anti-Semitism as the reason to withdraw federal research funds and federal grants, which I think hurts our country immeasurably. That's sort of a tangent issue here. Sylvia, go ahead.
When I worked in fundraising for UCLA, gazillion years ago, they were taking money from anybody who would give them money because they needed the money for their programming. And although there were objections even then about taking money from the oil nations, their answer was, well, the state isn't giving it to us. We need to be doing what we need to be doing. And if this is a legitimate way to raise money and it's legal, then they were going to do it. As far as I know, the donors did not have any say in what professor was hired, at least not at UCLA. But the fact is that we talk about the value of higher education. Well, Trump doesn't, but we talk about the value of higher education, but we don't fund it. We want research universities to do research, but we don't want to pay for it. We want them to be world renowned, but we don't do anything to make that possible financially. So they're going to raise money wherever they can raise money. And if they put up the right walls, then that money doesn't influence the way the university does whatever it does. If they don't put up the walls, then what they do gets perverted.
Sylvia, this hasn't, in the last 10 to 15 years, has not been a matter of fundraising. It's been an affirmative push, UAE, Qatar, et cetera, and they are giving money to fund what they're calling Mideast programs. They're funding chairs, and they have a say in who is hired to hold those chairs. And it's clearly been based on their anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, jihadist positions, every one of them. And this is strings attached money. I agree with you. It gets much tougher when they're just legally giving money and maybe wink, wink, hoping. This actually is money with strings attached. And you'll see the worst of these professors, chair of the Department of Mideast Studies, blah, blah, blah. And you can look into their background and see where they came from, which is very different.
Why then hasn't the administration gone after them?
Well, they have indirectly. I mean, the fact is, part of the reason this is going on at Harvard is they've hired some of these people with that money. It all ties together.
But in all the conversation and debate about what the administration is doing vis-a-vis Harvard and all the back and forth lawsuits, I haven't seen any specific reference to specific department heads
Oh
or
no, in the very initial demands, Harvard, Trump was demanding certain professors be fired, that he have review and veto power over curriculum of
well, I
various
remember that. Yeah, I
classes and
read that.
departments. So it's not that he hasn't, it's just, it's a lot easier to say to do those things are still there. He's not going to give them back money till he thinks they've done all those things, at least
But
until a court tells him that's wrong.
I also think that there's a political overtone in that the next iteration of the Abraham Accords, they want to bring in these other Arab nations. And if you start picking and choosing to get rid of professors who come from these countries with their agendas, I think those countries would no longer want to be any part of it of the accords. I mean,
Well,
I
I'm
have a
a
different.
but he has done that indirectly by saying the universities have to get rid of people, professors who are advancing those views. He may not be doing it directly for a political reason and putting the university on the front line so that in his usual manner of double talk, he can just say, well, I didn't pick the people. I told them they can't have anti-Semitism, and that's what they did. But
I have a
I
little
think
bit.
that's all it is. It's double talk.
I have a little bit different perspective. My ex-husband was a professor of chemistry at San Jose State University. I don't know. I don't think they got any federal funding, but for him, in order to get full professorship, he had to, no, yeah, he got tenure, but to get full professorship, he had to publish. It's publish or perish. And so San Jose State was not going to fund him. And so he ended up having to go on a sabbatical in order to get something published. And adding to that, nowadays, and it was starting when he was at San Jose State, is that you can no longer singularly publish your work. It's requiring other professors from not only the United States but from all around the world that contribute to these studies. And so I think it's really a multi-layered question on what the issue is, because for me, based on my experience, the bottom issue is the publish or perish, because you don't get any credit unless you're publishing. And then that also supports the students underneath you who are also trying to get, master's degrees or BAs, whatever the issue may be.
Do you think we would be better off as a country if some of these schools that are under the gun from the administration with enormous endowments would fund their own research programs? I know Harvard has an enormous endowment. My wife went to Penn. They have a huge endowment. If they're losing federal grant money, should that be a new avenue for the endowments rather than just
As my wife and I both went to Ivy League institutions. I went to Penn. You can't do that. The whole point of an endowment is to generate income, and they could not run these universities if you start eating into that principle. I do think the one thing that bothers me a little about all of this is when the government funds medical research or other scientific research, I do think that they should be entitled to ownership of the patent rather than allow the universities or in the individual professors to get that money, at least a piece of it. So, I mean, there are things that maybe should be done to the funding system, but as horrible as tuition at $100,000 a year is at Harvard, that doesn't even fund a third of a student's education when you're trying to run a major research university and the labs and the grounds and fundraising and you name it. So you're not going to have, and if the endowment isn't, has to grow to make the money to support these institutions, or nobody will be able to afford to go to college anywhere.
And I don't think that wouldn't work for state universities like the University of Minnesota because they don't have huge endowments like Harvard.
Well, the thing is, though, that when people give money to the endowment, the strings that are attached to it usually is that that it has to be used for the stated funds in order to generate, for example, income to do whatever it's going to do.
Sure.
It's not fiscally responsible to seriously eat into the endowment for a whole bunch of reasons, not the least of which is how they got that money in the first place.
So what's going to happen if all these research institutions don't get their funding? I mean, this sort of blends into this other big topic I wanted to kick around today, but
I just want to say it won't matter because we don't need to develop vaccines because there's no such thing as a good vaccine. So the research we're doing is probably pointless if it's never become part of modern medicine.
Well, for the next 2.5 years anyway.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just kind of zip up the genocide discussion. I think we'd all probably be well advised just to set the word aside, not use it. To too many people, it has the wrong connotation, and just bemoan the fact that so many people are being killed and are dying. Children are starving. I mean, starvation is a huge issue now, and that's another subject about, how do you deal with that under wartime circumstances. So I think we can move on from that. But this science stuff, this is the other big thing that's kind of rankled me this week. There was a couple of stories about the EPA which said it's withdrawing from, and this has nothing to do with Israel, I'm sorry to say, but maybe that's a good thing. They're planning on not regulating greenhouse gases anymore. And if you twin that with the retrenchment from any kind of green energy programs that we've withdrawn from, and then there was a fascinating piece I read this morning about how aggressively China is moving to build electric cars in Brazil with the idea of selling them across Latin America. Why? Because nobody else is doing this, and nobody else, that includes the US. And this retrenchment from clean energy, it may be, maybe it has some benefits in the short term by, keeping alive the oil industry and to some degree the coal mining industry. But in the long run, and maybe nobody in this group, nobody knows this better than Merrill. I mean, the planet is erupting. I mean, look at there were floods in Texas, the intense heat, the wildfire. I mean, you just go down the list of all these things, and I wonder how you all feel about and then just this overall abandonment from science and smart science and long-term science, long-term thinking, long-term solutions. I know a lot of you probably have children and grandchildren, and the world they're going to inherit from us is terrifying, I think. I mean, if Phoenix is 110, 112 degrees today, what's it going to be in 10 years when grandkids are ready to move out into the world? These are kind of thoughts that I've just been bubbling up, and I wanted to kick this around a little bit. Does anybody see any benefit to this kind of this Uber subject, or?
Well, I think we haven't been looking at it economically enough. I mean, if California were to actually follow through on their once planned electric vehicles only, we would not only destroy the planet, you couldn't even comply with that. The necessary minerals don't exist in a quantity that could be mined and used. We need better research. The worst thing about the EPA to me is their abandonment of their research program or department or whatever they did. And everything is a balancing act. I don't know that we should say no fossil fuel, period. There's some merit to the other side, and throwing all of it into the tax system to decide what's economically feasible isn't the right answer. But we need to have good science to pursue how to fuel the universe in an environmentally sound way. And unfortunately, I think we're actually moving backwards in that direction right now. But to just say, oh, let's have electric vehicles, that's not an answer.
Well, it's part of an answer. I mean, I
I,
would.
I, I'm not sure it is. I don't think electric vehicles are all that economically feasible. And if you do that, they're very short-lived, and how long that's even doable or sustainable. And then you haven't really addressed the long-term problem if you're putting all your money in something that's at best a 3-4 year solution.
Well,
That was
I
my big
disagree.
question.
I disagree with that. Every month I get a statement that tells me how many trees I saved and how many CO2 didn't go into the air because I'm driving an electric car. And it may be not be a forever solution, but it's definitely on a road to the solution.
Yeah, I think a lot of this.
No, I'm saying we need a better alternative than your electric car. Because if every one of us person in the state of California replaced a non-electric car with an electric car, there would be no lithium batteries to power these cars for the next decade at least.
Well,
You know-
you know what? We're just starting. So,
Well,
everything.
and there's a
Right.
house a block away from us that had a garage full of lithium batteries for electric cars, and it burned down a year ago because of
Wait,
the heat and the lithium batteries being stored.
the house burned down, not the.
The
because
house
of the
burned
battery?
down and everything in it.
Oh, okay, okay.
And the guy was worked for a car dealer, and he was storing lithium batteries in his garage. And
Why was he?
with
Why?
all the extensive heat, the house caught on fire and burned down, and that was
Why
the
was he-
cause of the fire.
Why was he storing them in his house?
I don't know. I don't know the people.
Well, okay, so that probably wasn't a good solution.
No. And that's the problem, I think, with what Steve was saying, is what are I mean, our friends that have all electric cars, no offense to you, they just got 2 fully electric cars, and they spend their life looking for charging stations plus what they've put in their house.
Well, that's because that's where you are. It's not that way here.
Now,
Well,
here,
but it might be that way in other places too. We don't know.
well,
Well, probably now that Trump delayed all the installing charging stations, so it was part of Biden's bill to put them all over the country.
right.
So that isn't an issue.
We got an electric car about 6 months ago, and frankly, it's a joy. I mean, my electric bill, we charge it maybe once every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe. I haven't seen any appreciable increase in the electric bill. And, I just delight in driving past gas stations that are still $5 a gallon and above. So I feel like
Yep.
I'm ahead. And to Steve's point too, this is really in the nascent period of all this stuff. And I think there's still ongoing research or somewhere into hydrogen cars that run on.
That's what I'm saying. I'm encouraging all of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's different than mandating one thing or credits for X to push everybody in that direction without better science to find out the best way to both save the environment, save the planet, and provide the energy we need. And it has to be looked at as a unitary problem.
I actually had a friend that was driving an experimental hydrogen car, and it was great. It was great, and the exhaust was water.
Yeah.
The thing is that the present administration doesn't believe in science, doesn't want to fund the research necessary
Right.
so that our grandchildren or great-grandchildren will still have a planet they can live on. The Republicans have never believed in climate change or warming, and certainly not that man, heaven forfend, had anything at all to do with it. And so they're not willing to make an effort to figure out how we go forward. Their answer at the moment, at least, is stop the research, stop the funding,
Right.
eliminate
True.
future charging station. To Steve's point, I think that people need to have a choice. Just because people need to have a choice. I'm just
I'm not disagreeing with that.
but by the time
What difference does it make if-
only electric vehicles are for sale, we won't be driving. So I'm not going to worry about it. But
Kids will be dead of measles, so it won't really matter.
Right.
I find it really dumbfounding that how anti-science and anti-trust in scientific means has become a way of life. I don't get it.
Well, I
No
think
one can explain it to me either.
I don't think it's anti-science. I just think it's he doesn't want to federally fund anything anymore. There was just
It's anti-science.
It's anti-science.
there was just on local news this week, I think, someone here in LA is working on prototype for a solar car. Really cool, kind of odd looking car at the same time. And this country's so rich. I mean, there's so many. Who's ever building this solar car in Los Angeles, I don't think is getting federal funds. He's probably getting private investors.
Maybe, but can you drive it at night?
You know, I don't
I
see why
think, I
not.
think it's like
You
other
know, once the car is solar, has solar charge to it, why wouldn't they be able to drive it at night?
I don't know. I wouldn't want one for now, right now. Yeah,
You still have electricity in your house if you have solar panels.
yeah, that's because we're connected by wires to a source of energy. A solar car, I don't know.
Well, you also have a storage thing as part of it.
Okay.
Most of the
I take no position on solar cars yet. I was very proud of myself for trying a Waymo once to see how that worked.
Oh, they're awesome.
How did it work?
Great. If every car on the road was Waymo, there'd be no highway accidents.
Except a Waymo took some guy, instead of to a convention center, took him to a garage and stopped. I heard that this morning in San Francisco.
Well,
There must be a Waymo parking lot near where we live, because when Waymo first started a few blocks from us daily, there were Waymo accidents
really?
on this one particular corner until they got themselves together, and now they seem fine. I've never been in one. I'm terrified to go in one.
No, you shouldn't be.
They're
fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
There's a garage or a charging station in Santa Monica. Can't remember where exactly, but I did drive by Waymo. Yeah, I
There
drove by
has
it.
to be somewhere.
Yeah, there's one in Santa Monica.
Our rabbi, who's a research freak, cannot find anything about Waymos as far as how they're managed, how they function.
Is it owned by Google or somebody?
He's looked up and everywhere possible, and I mean, that's been a while now. I don't know if he's done it recently.
No, they
Yeah,
work
I
like
think
Uber.
it is Google, Michael.
It
It
must
is
be.
Google.
Like
It is
Uber.
Google.
Yeah. Well, we have other reasons to be wary of Google.
Right.
Ah,
Waymo.
I think Google is going to have their lunch taken by ChatGPT. It's a totally different way to use the internet, and it's going to blow Google away.
They're all like that. I use one called Perplexity. Has anybody used that one? You've used that, Herb. The reason I like it is because when I do other stuff, it gives you, for every stipulated fact, it gives you a citation.
Yes.
So you're not just flying blind. At the very least, it tells you where this information came from, which is a little more comforting than some of these others that just kind of.
But you have to check those because some of the AIs have given citations, and if you go to check them, you learn they don't exist.
Some, yeah. I just have like 5% more confidence in Perplexity than I do in the one I previously used, whose name I forgot. Um, what else do I have on my notes here?
I was hoping we'd hear a little about what's going to happen now that the Knesset doesn't have a majority coalition.
Yeah, I haven't read anything about that. I don't know what they're doing. I could my reading is limited, but I haven't looked at any Israeli papers yet to know.
And did they lose their majority?
Didn't they?
About a week
That-
ago,
Yeah, that's
Was
right.
it- I thought they still
But
had a one vote
They,
majority.
they still have
Well,
they still have a government.
majority, what they had was the parties that withdrew said they were amenable to continuing with a minority government, and I don't know what will trigger the end of that. They do not have a a majority
Yeah,
coalition.
didn't like one or two of the very small parties withdrew from Parliament or their seat?
Two
Two.
parties withdrew from the
Yeah.
government.
Yeah. Were they right? They were right-wing parties, right?
Yes, they were.
Part of Netanyahu's coalition. Got it. Okay. I wrote this down, and you will laugh when I bring this one up, but does anybody really care about the Epstein situation? I see a lot of no.
I don't know what you mean by care about. I find it not only entertaining,
but
I care about it because I think what ultimately could come out, and with daily more and more photos, videos, letters, at a certain point, I think it has to hurt Trump even with his base. And the fact that some of them are upset about this and it distracts from him talking about how Obama ruined the country and Biden ruined the country and
I
everything.
don't think it's distracted him from that.
But at a certain point, everybody else, I mean, I think the fact that Johnson sent everybody home just because of that is very telling. So I think having this in the news on a daily basis is a good thing.
Yeah, I think my own sense of it is that, if you get down to brass tacks at the base of it, why isn't any of this revealed? The full file, whatever is in it, is revealed, and I think it's because Trump is all over it. And I think if there was ever a connection between Trump and or any of his compatriots with an underage young woman, I think that may be the breaking point for the MAGA universe. I keep thinking every next thing, well, this one's the one who'll do it. That one's the one that will do it.
He's
Wouldn't it be
untouchable.
Wouldn't
Let's
it be
talk about
ironic if
Wait a minute, hang on, one at a time. Joanne, then I'll come to you, Ben.
wouldn't it be ironic if this is the one that brings him down after all the terrible things he's done for the last 6 months?
I know. It's hard, but it's hard not to think. I mean, there's so much, I won't say guilt by association, but there's so much smoke there. I mean, when you look at what they were doing 15 and 20 years ago and all the connective tissue of the whole issue. And I think Ghislaine Maxwell kind of knows the whole story. And I'm sure she's trying to bargain for either immunity or a pardon or
Pardon, I'm sure.
Although what she wants, what they want from her for her to get it is evidence on Biden or Obama or some prominent Democrat, not Trump. But I think the most telling is he's given a number of interviews. Epstein's brother has had a lot of things to say about the closeness of the relationship between. And
I think there's going to be bold-faced names from both parties and whatever's not in public view.
But in terms of him going after Biden, Obama, did he forget about the immunity ruling last summer? I mean, those guys are immune from prosecution.
Well, that was last summer. It's all different now.
It doesn't apply just to him, right? It applies to all the presidents.
Ben,
he's
go ahead.
not immune. He's not immune either.
Say again.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, go ahead.
He'll attach it to some duty that he did as president.
Ben, go ahead.
Thank you, Michael. Two things. One is I think we have to remember, Trump has been a creep with his relations with women since the get-go, whether it's the Miss USA or the lawsuits, what have you. So nothing, there's no big surprises here that he's a creep. To me, the real news that we should be talking about this week is the kiss cam.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was everything's on the record these days.
But why did that generate such I don't know if it's international, but just such a interest? Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's interested. You can't look at the news without the kiss cam.
But
Interesting phenomena.
don't you think at some level we're sort of a prurient country and that we delight in Schadenfreude and the stupidity of others? I mean, I guess, if you're at Dodger Stadium with 50,000 other people, the odds of you being on the kiss cam is pretty low. But there is that chance. And
But then a different question, Michael, is, and I'll try to word this in an appropriate way. Many of us have been on business trips when we were much younger and whatever, and they have done things, different times, but consenting adults. So many of us can certainly relate to that experience.
yeah, I think at the end of the day, it was bad luck on that couple's part.
It's an attention-getting syndrome of sorts.
I
And
guess.
then you never
Certainly
know
didn't
who's
want
going
the
to get in
attention,
trouble
Myrtle.
from it.
They didn't want the attention. They were hiding their faces.
Well, but that's the reality. If you're there doing it, that could happen.
It's not brand new. My first year of law school, a good friend of mine was attending a World Series game at the Oakland Coliseum and somehow got on national TV, and his mother saw him and called the next day and asked, "How did you have enough time to go to a baseball game?"
I will tell you, I saw something at Dodger Stadium once that was jaw dropping, and everybody laughed. The guy was not embarrassed, but it was out there for all to see. And in some ways, it was much worse than this latest example. And this couple was put onto the kiss cam, and he immediately took, I guess it was his wife, I'm hoping it was his wife, and pushed her head down into his lap. And on the kiss cam with 50,000 people seeing it. I mean, he probably thought that was really funny, and I guess a lot of people did, but I don't know. I wouldn't bet on the intelligence factor of the country right now.
Well, with the traffic cams, very early on, someone got a ticket, and the woman in the front seat with him was not his wife, and the ticket arrived at the house, and she saw it. And now, any place, if they're doing these traffic cams, they blot out everything but the driver.
It's like you have to take your shoes off at the airport because one guy.
Not anymore.
No, I know, not anymore, but
Because one guy.
Right. Well, because one guy, right.
There was another guy who got caught with something in his underwear. I'm glad we didn't have to take our underwear off.
Although last time my wife and I went to Chicago, and some guy, he's taking stuff off, and he's standing there, and his shirt comes off. He's starting to take his pants off. I don't know if he spoke English, and the TSA guys are saying, "Don't take your pants off." And we don't know what he's thinking.
Well, that was my idea, to start an airline, Nude Air.
Yeah.
You just get on nude, and you don't have to worry about security or everybody's naked.
Don't have to go through
Didn't take off though. It wasn't able to get seed funding for that.
Yeah. Well, I just hope they wouldn't charge you for your bags. Let's see. Ooh, somebody either came or left. I'm not sure. That's about it on my list. Anything else we haven't talked about this week? Diane, go ahead. We haven't heard from you.
I have a question. Is Melania here 100% legally? I hear so many stories about her
Unknown.
her permit and visas and things that weren't correct. So what's true and what's not true?
Well, I don't think we'll ever know what's true or not.
Along
Well,
with
that's
her migration, some of her relatives came over.
Yeah.
He was here.
But don't worry, they're naming the Opera House at the Kennedy Center
Kennedy Center.
after her, right? I
Hmm.
just saw that one. I'm going to the Melania Center tonight.
Are we going to talk about the Washington Redskins?
Oh, yeah, we can.
Talk about presidential duties?
Yeah. Yeah, gosh, you'd think this guy has more stuff to worry about than that. And
You would hope.
why isn't he going after all the college teams that have mascots? And
There aren't any left except for the Florida Seminoles because the NCAA granted a waiver at the petition of the tribe.
okay. But there's like the Atlanta Braves he hasn't talked about, and there was one, the Kansas City Chiefs he hasn't talked about. You know,
They don't want a stadium in DC.
yeah. Well, why would he do that? I mean, that would be so great for DC. I don't know. It's all so crazy. Anything else? Panina, go ahead. You're muted. You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted. I'm not waving to you. You're muted.
You're muted, Panina.
I am saying that it's cheaper than giving them back the land. It's easier to give the Cleveland Indians back their name instead of just giving them that they took from the Indians. Give them a name.
I don't think that's going to happen.
The
Okay.
name wasn't nearly as bad as Chief Wahoo, their mascot.
That's right. And he was really goofy looking too.
But it was very nasty.
Yeah. But this is just all part of our lives today. Everything irritates somebody. There's no national agreement.
I think what's ironic.
Well, can't we say though that the term redskin was derogatory, where the term chiefs or Seminoles or Braves doesn't have the same derogatory connotation?
Maybe not.
Redskins?
Redskins, yeah.
I mean,
And I went to Birmingham High School in Van Nuys, and we were the Birmingham Braves, and the mascots, actually, there was a male and female dressed up as Indians and did the whole,
the military names the helicopters the Chinook, the Apache.
Right.
Those are proud
Proud names.
They're let's take some pride in the Native American heritage.
I think the fear of offending people, to me, and some of this cultural appropriation and everything else, and you can't have a white person play a black person in a play, whatever, I think is such a huge step backwards. I mean, I think back to All in the Family and how effective it was, and it said things the way people talked, they acted the way people acted, and people were smart enough that hopefully that's how you understood the point.
Yeah.
And now people say you just can't use that word, which, especially when you're talking about art, just seems so inappropriate to me.
Yeah.
There's a lack of accepting history in names too.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
They used to call Cleveland the mistake on the lake. And you should see.
Some of us still do.
It caught fire once.
I still call it that.
I lived there for many years.
No, I'm from Toledo.
It's beautiful.
For high school, so
Toledo?
Yeah.
You had the Mud Hens.
Ohio State is a very
do.
And all of them. Cincinnati has an amazing university with a music center, and it's clean, and the architecture and the care, and people are nice. I stood in a gas station and I didn't know how to open my whatever, the container to fill it up, and somebody just walks over and he says, "What's the problem?" Stood there and waited for it to fill in till I paid it to make sure that I know how to close it back in. And they are like the nicest people ever wherever you go. You go to the supermarket And the lady in front of me, her husband gives her a cart that he pulled out of the chain, and she gives it to me, and she says, take it, he'll get another one. It's unbelievable how people live there. And I lived there all my life till the COVID came, and my family didn't want to recognize the danger of it, didn't want to cover their face, didn't want to take the shots. So I literally came here because of that. But it's like
We have
amazing.
nice people here.
When Kaiser moved out of Cleveland, I was heartbroken. So now I'm with Kaiser. But what I'm trying to tell you is the Cleveland Clinic, it's a known place. The Rock Hall of Fame is beautiful. And
Okay. I don't think you're going to convince anybody to move to Cleveland, Penina.
I know, because of the snow. That's bad. And ice. They get ice, and the snow melts, and then all of a sudden it cold at night. Literally a life-endangering situation. But they are salting it, and they're trying, and they're cleaning and scraping and everything. But if you don't like cold air, it's not for you. So that's that.
Well, I think talking about nice people is a nice way to end our session today. I think.
Yes. And they had the black mayor for years, and Cleveland was thriving.
Okay, we had LA had a black mayor too, so there's okay. It's now 1:00 and 7 seconds, so I think.
Thank you.
Michael, thank you. Good to see you.
Hi, Michael.
Always a great
Well.
discussion.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Michael.
really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I hope you all come back in 2 weeks.
We will be.
Try.
Don't
I
miss
will
it.
be.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.